Inside has a dark, ambiguous story, exploring elements of human experimentation and the fictional possibilities as the result. Hi folks, I'm R, your narrator. This video will contain spoilers about Inside and some about Limbo. With that in mind, let's begin. An unnamed boy with a distinct red shirt embarks on a cryptic journey, witnessing atrocities committed by a mysterious organization, conducting human experiments, while a certain group of elites are seeing it as an integration into a new society, a better society, with free labor force. As the boy comes across several different facilities, most of which are abandoned, leaving behind traces of what experiments were carried out there, he finally unveils the organization's recent experiment. Something that he's part of as well. Something that he was drawn to since the very beginning. The boy climbs down a cliff, embarking on this convoluted journey through an almost monochromatic forest, with somber colors resembling how the boy in Limbo first started the game. The boy observes a truck loading up many humans and driving away, with guards wearing white masks, wielding flashlights and tranquilizer weapons to secure the forest and presumably look for any remaining cowering people. There are also multiple tanks or pods scattered around the forest, which the guards presumably use to trap people in order to mind control them. The forest seems to be heavily controlled, as there are barricades and barbed wired walls with trucks and guards roaming around, with aggressive dogs named Wolves, which might be a mixture between wolves and hounds. This brings the question to how controlled the outside world and cities are if the forest is so heavily controlled. The boy is then soon discovered by the guards, who chase him with all their might, sending the wolves after him, shooting tranquilizers towards him, and going on a careful patrol to find him. The boy, however, outsmarts them and evades them, heading to the farmlands. Meanwhile, he observes how empty the roads are, with barely any lights seen around, depicting that the world has neared its end, with the people being collected and controlled. Reaching the farmland, the boy notices how all the pigs have passed away, possibly due to a plague wiping them out, or died due to the intervention of the organization, with certain few live ones contained within a barn, presumably waiting to be experimented on. Suddenly, the boy gets attacked by a charging pig running back and forth, whom the boy saves after pulling out a mind-controlling leech from it, similar to the ones in Limbo, suggesting that these two games are connected to each other in some way. The pig soon after becomes tame and calm, without the leech burrowing inside it anymore. Using the pig to climb atop, the boy puts a suspended helmet on his head, giving him the power to control 4 sleepwalkers at the back. Humans who have been mind-controlled for a long time, to the point of losing the sense of themselves. Soon after, the boy enters the city, where he witnesses a large number of people marching under the supervision of the guards, who are referred to as sleepwalkers, as they bear more resemblance to people than albinos, who are probably in later stages of mind control. The sleepwalkers make more human noises such as snoring, portraying that they might be placed in a deep sleep, maybe in a limbo, with their conscious being somewhere else. There are no helmets to be seen anywhere, therefore, the way they're controlled might be done remotely or autonomously. In a secret room where the boy finds an orb, there's a large letter E with neon lights, acting as a reference to Limbo, as the city the boy enters in Limbo is quite similar to the pitched roofs and flat roofs of the segment, Maybe this shows how Lembo was a maze taking inspirations from the real outside world, making a decoy version. The boy soon breaks into a building where there are similar hanging lights to Lembo and two giant robots with large spotlights, stopping anyone they detect by tasing them. There are several people lying around, tased to the ground, which shows how many people try to escape this organization's evil control over them who had failed. As the boy traverses further, he falls through a fragile floor onto a line of sleepwalkers marching ahead, being examined by some guards and analyzers from the organization. They seem to test their new recruits, or in other words, subjects placed under the influence, to make sure they are fully placed under a state of control, as if they are doing quality checks. Some spectators are also observing the quality checks, including children and even a baby, who similarly to the guards wear white face masks, a sign that they have ties to the organization, watching the people become enslaved from early on, so they can build a society of elites, desensitized and used to the knowledge that they are enslaving other people. The enslaved people are possibly being used in labor, as seen through wearing overalls and construction safety helmets, to further make living easier and more efficient for a select few, or maybe the next generations to come, as it seems even after death, seen as the albinos, these enslaved individuals can still function. To overcome a challenge of opening a door later on, the boy puts on a mind control helmet to control a sleepwalker, who then puts on a mind control helmet himself to control another sleepwalker. This shows the strength of these helmets and how the organization saw the limitless potential of transferring consciousness, leading to more experiments. Then the boy encounters a water chamber, which levels can be easily controlled by pressing two buttons, working similarly to Lembo on how the water levels were controlled. He soon witnesses a moving train, showing that despite the city looking run down, specific infrastructure and public transport are still working. Soon the boy hijacks a submarine and witnesses how a large portion of the city has been flooded. The boy also comes across an artificial forest with factory tools within it, being observed from outside by glass panels, suggesting how they are capable of building artificial forests, a hint to how Lembo could have been in an enclosed maze. The boy, while maneuvering the submarine, then has his first encounter with a long-haired creature many have nicknamed Siren, capable of breathing underwater, presumably another test subject which broke loose from its confinement. Traversing through the flooded portion of the city, the boy finally reaches a beach with an overshadowing wall, which seems to have been part of a rundown factory or a mine. Entering the abandoned factory, the boy encounters several sleepwalkers wearing overalls and safety helmets, left behind in a place which seems to have been used for label purposes, with large machinery, cart, rail tracks, and much more. It appears as if the organization has moved on, having improved technology now, than having to wear wired helmets to control several people, depicting that this used to be a functional factory which is outdated now. Soon later, the boy enters an area which blasts a shockwave every 6 seconds. To enter, he has to place 19 people on a scale, showing whatever experiment the organization used to carry out here required extreme care and delicacy. Regardless, it seems their experiment went wrong, causing a chain of dangerous shockwaves pulsating every 6 seconds, which they couldn't stop. It's possible the shockwaves were initially intentional as well, as there's a room filled with dummies, presumably being used to test the strength of the shockwaves. The boy then encounters another long-haired creature, this time having some wires attached to it, confirming that they were experimented on to obtain such ability. possibly left behind by the organization. After evading this creature with wires hanging from her, the boy gets taken by another one of these creatures, who takes him to the depth, attaching a plug-like electronic to the boy, which gives him the ability to breathe underwater, and also control the sleepwalkers and the albinos. This plug's light shuts off right after, suggesting that this was meant to happen, as his creatures don't chase after the boy anymore from here on. In the depth, the boy goes through another facility, which seems to have similarly conducted some other experiments, this time presumably the tests to let people breathe underwater, as seen many being latched to some wires. He then comes across a segment of the facility with water being suspended having a different center of gravity, with several albinos hooked to some electronic boxes suspended in this water collection. This suggests how the organization possibly wanted to experiment with water and making people breathe under it, in order to carry out underwater tasks easier, which ended up flooding some of their facilities, presumably. Some of the mind-controlled leeches can be also seen wiggling inside these subjects, suggesting that the mind-controlled people might have mind-controlling leeches inside them. This anti-gravity technology correlates to the technology present in Limbo, yet another clue that Limbo took place in the same universe. The boy soon drops the suspended albinos from the water, controlling them without the need of any attachments or helmets, seemingly obtaining this ability after he was drowned by the siren. Alongside the disfigured albinos, the boy is also capable of controlling the sleepwalkers, an ability that will play an important role later. The boy soon enters another facility, presumably the organization's most recent one, currently being in full-time use, having the same construction design as the previous facilities observed, which were flooded with two large bent pipes connecting to the outside wall. Running inside the facility, it seems to be completely empty, with everyone seemingly having left their posts and current tasks abruptly, as there's a burning cigarette and a hanging phone at sight. The boy soon discovers that all of the scientists within this facility rush to see whatever is inside a water tank in awe, as if it's something they haven't seen before. The boy manages to find a way inside the water tank, which rips off his clothes, making him almost resemble the sirens he encountered before. Inside the tank, he witnesses the huddle, the collection of multiple test subjects together, which seems to have very recently awakened and started moving, as all the scientists rush to see it not long ago. The boy detaches some of the mind-controlling helmets and plugs, similar to the one attached to the boy to breathe underwater, and joins the huddle by going inside it. The huddle then breaks free from a much larger tether and breaks out of the water tank. As it tries to run out of the facility, he breaks through a few floors, one specifically being a floor with number 7 on one of the glass panels. On the table lies two very familiar toolboxes, boxes seen in Limbo for the elevators and the magnetic field control, further fortifying that Limbo was in fact in the universe of Insight, if they're not just present for Easter egg. The huddle then finally lands in an exhibition room where a diorama of a beach by a slope of land is seen, being lit by a spotlight, something that will be observed at the very end. The huddle then comes across the CEO office, which is located right next to the cafeteria, a strange placement of an office for someone with such a high rank in such a powerful organization, which might insinuate that this individual was nothing but a decoy, used to deceive the huddle that it's actually escaping, giving it some sort of freedom and power to think it can kill the CEO. What is even stranger is when employees of this organization aid the huddle to solve certain puzzles and open its path. The huddle then reaches a room where many people are standing and observing the huddle, as if they expected this to happen. They trick the huddle to take one of the pressurized boxes, but trap it inside an enclosed water tank, which the huddle easily escapes by pulling a vent cover out. The huddle then breaks through a wooden wall, and after a slope, ends up by the beach, where it's lit by a strong spotlight, just exactly how the diorama demonstrated in the exhibition room earlier. There's a bunker much earlier in the game, hidden in the cornfield, which the boy can access and reveal a secret ending. In there, he observes a large mind control helmet, which is connected to several computers. After unplugging a massive cable, the operation shuts down, including the boy, which makes him kneel down in a similar fashion to the sleepwalkers after they are not controlled by the helmets, which strongly suggests that the boy was mind-controlled since the very beginning. It becomes clear that after several successful and failed experiments, the organization moved forward to create a sentient being, capable of breathing underwater, possessing superhuman strength, and the ability to presumably command the other mind-controlled people remotely, and without the need of any attachments. It seems the organization had planned the potential intention of the huddle's escape from the very beginning. It only became possible when the boy finally got to the huddle, hence why so many scientists gathered around to observe the events which were about to occur, to see if their extended and long research and prediction would finally pay off or not. The huddle is presumably their best experiment so far, as they will be able to control several consciousnesses at the same time, further fortifying their cause and intentions. The secret ending, on the other hand, suggests how the boy unplugs himself so the organization's experiment would fail and the huddle wouldn't be awakened and break free. Maybe in a way, this in fact freed the huddle, so it won't be used and enslaved by the organization. That's about it for today's video, folks. There are a lot of elements shared between Limbo and Inside, which hints out that they share the same universe. I might make a video about it and explain this possibility in detail. If you enjoyed this video and would like to watch more horror-related content, stay tuned by hitting the subscribe button and the notification bell. It's been your host R. Till the next video, have a fantastic day.